And here we go. We are now recording. Welcome, everybody, to the 2 o'clock Monday class.
Are you the only one?
I want you guys to mute yourselves right now. And?
Dawn.
What?
Dawn.
Yes?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Jean, you still can't hear me. I am as loud as this can go here. What kind of a device are you using, Jean?
He can't hear you. How's he
Can't
answer?
hear me. Oh.
He can't hear you because so he can't answer.
So you're right. You're right. Duh. Wow.
We can chat with him.
Yeah, chat with him and see if you can get him to get his volume on his device. Can everybody else hear me okay?
Yes.
Because all the settings are exactly as they were. I have not changed any of the settings.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're good. You're good.
Okay, good. Good. All right, everybody just needs to mute themselves and somebody chat with Gene McDonald and see if you can't get him to get his little issue fixed there. The Way You Look Tonight, and that's on page 318 of book 274. This is a song that we've pretty much done this song, and we've done it in a different key, and it's actually written in a couple different keys, but it's from the film Swing Time. Swing Time is a Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers film, and it won the Academy Award for Best Original Song in 1936. And if you remember correctly, if you remember anything at all about that film, she's washing her hair. She's too busy to bother with him. She's in the bathroom washing her hair. And so he decides, okay, I'm just going to sit out here and play you a song. And she actually is taken by surprise and comes out with her hair all washing around. So, you know, very, very, very cute scene. Other versions that year, 1936, were by Guy Lombardo. Teddy Wilson had Billie Holiday singing in his band. And at that time, she was only 21. So for a 21-year-old to be running around with these big bands, wow, that's pretty cool. In 1942, The Way You Look Tonight charted again. You know, how many years later is that? That's 8 years later. No, it's not. It's 6 years later. I can't do math. With a version by Benny Goodman, and then Peggy Lee was on vocals. The most popular version, which most of you probably remember, was Frank Sinatra with the Nelson Riddle Orchestra in 1964. 1964. So this is a classic, and it's one that can be done on a gazillion different backgrounds. Other people who made it popular would be Tony Bennett when he did a duet with the Mexican singer Thalia. Also, Bing Crosby did a duet with his wife with this in 1936. The Letterman in 1961. Rod Stewart, the Do You Think I'm Sexy guy, he actually did some of the classics in a 1940s album, and he did it in the year 2002. Also, Gloria Estefan in 2013. She's Miami Sound Machine fame. And one that I also remember fondly, this was used in the 1997 Julia Roberts romantic comedy film called My Best Friend's Wedding. And guys, that is a chick flick. Randy will not watch it with me ever. He just laughs at me. But I think that's a really cute movie, and I have a tendency to watch that every time it's on. Very cute. Okay, so what kind of backgrounds work on this? Like I said, most everything. I'm going to start it with swing and sway. Why? Because that's one of my go-to backgrounds when I get a medium to up-tempo tune from the 1930s. So once you get to know your organ, usually you'll have about 5 different, what I like to call go-to backgrounds, so that you can get it started and get an idea of how the song is supposed to go. So pick yourself out a couple of favorite backgrounds. You probably already do it without even thinking about it, where you automatically go to Jazz Club, or you automatically go to Strings 101, which those are 2 of my go-to backgrounds, by the way. But for 1930s songs, I will usually start them with swing and sway underneath your foxtrot, and I'm at 116. and I'm going to play. There's the way you look tonight. Follow the roadmap the best you can. It's not too hard. There's a first ending, a second ending, and then go back to the beginning and play it again. So technically, there's 3 verses.
Dawn, what was your tempo on that?
That was 116.
Thank you.
116. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, you probably noticed a couple of little embellishments that I did. I did a glissando in line 3 from the high D down to the low D, which was actually pretty cool and very easy to do. We'll go over that when we go over some fingering. What else did I do? I did some gliding, because if you watched the original Fred Astaire, they used some strings on those on those little thingies right before your first and second and third endings, and they're just sliding those notes. That's a total glide. But I'm not going to use the glide on them, the glide for going from one note to the next, because it only goes a half a step on your normal glide. But I did it on the second note, so it kind of gave it that illusion that it was doing those gliding from one note to the other. Of course, you don't have to play it that way at all. I also slowed down the last line, slowed it down, and I'm giving every note its own chord. Each note has its own chord. All right, so let's do some chords. Some chords. Get your pencils out. And remember, if you're not into all these new chords that I give, please remember they are optional. You do not need to play them. You do not need to write them. But if you do decide to write them, just decide to learn one chord every time you sit down to play. And the more often you see them and the more often you play them, it will start to become natural. Just like, remember what way back when you had to learn an A minor? It was a terrifying chord, and you had to write it down. You couldn't do it. But the more you do it, then you didn't have to think about it anymore. It's the same thing with some of these, and I don't have very many hard ones in here. Okay, the D chord is good for one measure. Measure 2, over the low D for the word day, put in a B minor, butterfly minor. Your two notes are D and B, dog and butterfly. Cross out the A7 and replace it with plain old G, gorilla, for 2 counts. Over the G for awfully, put in an E minor, elephant minor, or E minor 7. E minor is E and G, elephants and gorillas. If you wish to play the 7, it's a D, D, E, G. But remember, 7s are always optional. The last measure of that line, put an A7. Now you put that one back in. A7 is G and A. If you don't feel like playing the 7, just put your thumb on the A. Second line, the D chord is good for one measure. Over the F sharp in measure 2, put a B7, butterfly 7. The two notes in that are A and B, and you can play them with the thumb and the crack of the two notes. Just reach up and play A and B at the same time. Cross out the A7 and replace it with E minor 7, elephant minor 7, D, G, D, E, and G. The last measure of that line, over the G for glow, now put your A7 back in. Next line, the D chord is good for 2 measures. The G chord is good for 2 counts. Beat 3, over the A quarter note, put an E minor or an E minor 7. Again, it's D, E, and G, but you only need the E and G. Cross out the A7 and replace it with plain old D, dinosaur, for 2 counts. Over the E half note, put your A or A7 back in. The last line on that page, the D is good for one measure. Cross out the A7 in measure 2 and replace it with E minor for 2 counts. Over the E, beat 3, the E half note, put in your A or A7. The D chord is good for that whole measure. First ending, the last measure on that page. Cross out the A7 and replace it with E minor, E and G, for 2 counts. Over the C sharp, beat 3, put in an A7. Let's go up to the top of page 319, the second ending. The C7's good for one measure. The F is good for one measure. Now, if you are scared to death of these chords, you can play the D7, but the rest of us, let's cross it out and replace it with F sharp minor 7 flat the 5th. Oh! F sharp minor 7 flat 5. It's a 4-fingered chord. It's not very hard. It is C. Oops, let's get this one right. F sharp minor 7 flat 5. C, E, F sharp, A. Almost gave you the F7 flat 5. My fingers just go there. I don't even think about that one anymore. C, E, F sharp, A. If that's the one that you leave out of this song, that's fine, but it does make it sound really cool. G minor is G and B flat. And in line 2, C7 is C and B flat. You only need the C. The F chord is good for 3 counts. Beat 4, which is the E over the word fear. Put in A minor, C and A. In the next measure, beat 3 over the F. Put in a D diminished, dinosaur diminished, which is D and A flat. It's another spicy chord. Remember, diminished chords are always the letter plus 6. The letter plus 6. Cross out the G minor and replace it with C. Now the C can be a C7 or it can be a C9. C9, your 4 notes, because you always need 4 notes for a 9 chord, C, D, E, and B flat. Now, if you want to put the B flat on the bottom, please feel free to do that. It's just 4 notes in a row, B flat, C, D, E. And then that's good for 2 measures. Third line, that C can be a C7 or a C9. The F chord is good for 1 measure. The next measure over the word laugh, put in an F major 7, F capital M-A-J 7. Remember that the formula for major 7s is the letter minus 1. So it's E and F right next to each other, E and F. If you wish, you may put a 7 on that next G minor. You must play the G minor, which is G and B flat. But you may add the F, F, G, and B flat. That's one of the hardest chords to play because it does pull your hand completely out of position. So make sure that you get the G and B flat there. Next line, C or C7, C and B flat. Second measure, make that F an F major 7, F capital M-A-J 7. And if you remember from the line above, it is E and F at the same time for 3 counts. Over the F for the word my, beat 4, put in a D minor, D and F. That's good for that count and the next measure over foolish. It's good for that too. Now the G minor, if you want to play G minor, go ahead. Or if you want to get a little bit ambitious, cross it out and replace it with A sus, A-S-U-S. That is a suspended 4th chord, and it's a hanging chord. So an A sus, your notes are D, E, A, and it gives you that really cool hanging sensation so that when you go to the A or A7, it totally resolves everything. Suspended 4th. D, E, A. All right, let's go to the coda. Coda is your final ending. The A7 is good for 1 measure. And now, just the way you look tonight, we're going to do 1 chord per note. And I completely slowed this down, and you can play it however you want to play it. The G is good for 1 count. Beat 2 over the F sharp, put in an F sharp chord. Makes sense? Over the A quarter note, beat 3, put in C diminished, C and F sharp. Remember the rule for diminished is the letter plus 6. Beat 4 over the G quarter note, put in an E minor, E and G. The next measure, cross out the A7 and replace it with plain old D dinosaur for 2 counts, but it's just over that F sharp note. Then over the E note, put your A or A7 back in, and then end on the D. All right. Any questions about the chords?
Dawn,
Yes?
what's the ruling for sus? A sus, you said DEA. No, DEA, yes.
DEA,
So,
yes. Uh-huh.
What's the formula?
Well,
for
let me see what the formula on that
have
is.
that?
1, 2, 3, 4,
Because
5.
it's an A, so why?
Plus 5 plus 2.
Okay, what?
It's the
So-
letter plus 5 plus 2 more. But then you can redo you can rearrange the order.
Okay, but could you do it starting with an A?
Yes. And it would be A,
Because-
D, and E.
So A, D, E. So it wouldn't matter if you
No.
did A, E, or DEA.
Correct. It's just that if you did that, your hand is, you usually have
Right,
it
yeah.
between C and C. You'd have to bounce your hand up here or bounce it all the way back here. If you play it here, your hand is in position to stay right where you'd normally be feeling your chords.
Okay. So, okay.
But yes, it can be in any order. It's plus 5 plus 2.
E or DEA. Okay. Thank
Hey,
you.
Dawn,
Yes.
Dawn, I missed something on page 1, last
Okay.
measure.
Last measure, where the first ending is.
Yeah.
Okay, cross out the A and replace it with E minor, E and G for 2 counts, and beat 3 over the C sharp. Now put your A or A7 back in.
Great. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Anybody else? I'm trying to go slowly enough and enunciate enough so everybody can hear.
You're fine.
Okay. All right. Good. Let's go back and do some fingering.
All right.
Now, for those of you who can't stand the fingering, because some of your fingers just like to go wherever they go and they're fine, go get a cup of coffee, go mix a drink, go have a cookie, and come back in about 2 minutes. All right, for the rest of us. A, 4 or 5. I actually like 5, but you do what's comfortable. D1. E2. F sharp 3. G4. F sharp 3. D2. Second line, F sharp 3, G4, A5, G4, F sharp 3. G1, circle it, you are tucking it under. A2, B3, A2, G1, A2, B3, C sharp 4, D5, and then the low D is a 1. And if you're doing a glissando, it's going to still stay those same fingers. Why? Because you're going to start with that high D being a 5. Then you are going to put your thumb up to meet your pinky and then slide that thumb all the way down. So it'll be 5, then put your thumb on that D and slide it down. That's the easiest way I know of to do a glissando down. So it's still going to be 5 and 1, but it sounds really cool to just do this. So the low D is 1. Let's continue with fingering. E2, F sharp 3, A5, G4, F sharp 3, E2, D1, A can be 4 and B5, put a check mark, F sharp 4, E3, C sharp 2, B1, check mark. The check mark is just taking a breath with your hand, lifting it and putting it in a new position. First ending, low B1, C sharp 2, E1 with a circle. That means you're tucking it under. Because remember where you're going back to. You're going back to the top of the page. Let's go to the top of the second page, second ending. C4, B flat 3, A2, 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 A2. The next A is also a 2. C4, B flat 3, G1. At the end of that held G, put another check mark. G3, A4, F2, E1, F2, high D5. C4, 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 D5, B flat 3, A2. At the end of that held A, check mark. G3, A4, F2, E1, F2, A4, low B1, C sharp 2, E1. Circle it, you're tucking it under, because where are you going back to? That says DC al coda. Whenever you have two thin lines at the end of a line, or it means the end of a section. It's not the end of the song, it's the end of a section, and it's going to have some directions. Where are you going? Da capo al coda. Capo is the head of the song. So you go all the way back to the beginning, and then what you're looking for is the 2 coda symbol. Remember, codas never go backwards to a coda. Codas only send you forwards, and codas are ending. Coda means tail. So that is always the final ending. And if you remember, you're going to go back to the top of the page, play the whole page again, only your 2 coda is right before the first ending. And then you're just going to jump across the page to the coda, which is the ending. And here's your fingering for that. F sharp 3, E2, E2, F sharp 3, A5, G4, F sharp 3, E2, and D1. Questions? Nope, you got it. Got them all, huh? Okay.
Hold on. Okay. Page 1, third measure.
Page 1, third measure, when I'm awfully, is an E2, F sharp 3, G4, F sharp 3.
Page
Got it?
No.
Is that line 1 or what? What line?
Line 3.
Oh, line 3. Line 3, which measure?
Third.
Third measure. Say E2, F sharp 3, A5, G4. And
Got
then
it.
F sharp 3, E2.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. And if you notice, when I played, yes?
Where did you add the vibrating strings?
I didn't.
Oh, I thought you said you did.
No, I said the original had gliding strings. So what I did is I used the sound that I was on, which were horns, and on swing time you have your saxes on top and you have your brass on the bottom, and they both glide. And so what I did was I played here at the ooh hoo hoo on those notes that don't have any lyrics underneath them, measures 1, 2, and 3 of the last line on page 1. I did a glide. I played the A, and then I did a glide from actually on the B note. So it's always the second note that I did the glide to. All right, I'm going to start on line 3, middle of the line. Oops, I turned off my... Okay, here we go. And the way you look tonight, and then I'm going to do some gliding. Okay. See what I did? I played
Yeah.
the first note and then I did a glide up to the second note. Now,
Yeah.
gliding you do with your foot, and you always have to kick the switch first, play the note, and then release your foot. If that's too hard, your right touch bar is also programmed to do that. So you could have just done that with the right touch bar.
Oh,
I think you can also do it with a foot pedal.
Not everybody.
Oh,
Not everybody can do that. Okay. The only problem is you also have to change chords. So that could be an issue. So if you can do it with your foot, that's probably the best way to do it with your kick switch. Now what Ken was talking about is what fanfares, and actually an Easy 10 can also do a glide on the long pedals. You just have to set your long pedals to glide. If you have any questions, see me after class, email me, and I'll let you know how to do that. Your fanfares and your journeys and your inspires and your rialtos. You can set your pedal magic to do a glide. And so then all you have to do is touch a long pedal to do that, and just like that, but you're doing it with a foot so that this hand can still play the chords. So those organs have that feature, but they don't all. Probably I'm sure the aria has that feature as well. Haven't had one of those in a while to check.
Dawn, excuse me.
Yeah.
You said that glide was in the last line on the first page, but that was on the B. And
The
you
A and the
glide-
B, right. I did the glide on that second note of those duets. I've got the A going to the B, so I would play the A, then I'd glide up to the B, then I'd
that
play
little
the
bit
F
of a
sharp.
step,
Pardon?
that little bit of a step from A to
Uh-huh.
B? Okay.
Yep.
And then the second glide was where?
Then I'd play the F sharp and then glide up to the E.
You're gliding down to the E then.
Nope, you're not gliding down. You're still gliding up.
Well, it says D, E, B, F, E. So
But when you're gliding, you're always gliding from low to high. So you're only gliding. So what I'm actually doing is I'm playing the A and the first measure, play the A. Now, when
yeah,
I do B, I'm going to hit my glide pedal, hit the B, and release it so it glides up to B.
okay,
Then I'm going to play the F sharp.
yep,
Then I'm going to hit my glide switch. So I'm gliding up to the E. It's giving the illusion of doing what the strings
Okay.
were doing.
all right.
I'm going to play
okay.
the C sharp. Then I'm going to hit my glide switch. It's
And then
kind of
you-
tricky to do that. So if you don't feel like doing that, don't worry too much about
Well,
it.
you try it. Did you glide again in the last measure before the, and from the C to the B? Did you?
The C
C
sharp, I played the C sharp, and then I did a glide up to the B. And that
Okay.
just gave the illusion of
Okay.
those sliding strings that were in the original.
So you did a glide 3 times in that line?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Try it. It's not that easy because
Yeah.
you've got a note before it and you've got chords to play, and so you've got these things going on. But try it.
you
Now,
just-
also remember, not all sounds will glide. So if you're on a piano, and like my next sound, my next background that I'm going to play, I'm using piano, and it's not going to glide.
Oh,
So then you don't worry about it. So not all your sounds glide. Vibraphones do not glide. If they do not glide in real life, they do not glide on the organ. Organ sounds do not glide.
oh,
Sometimes your violins and things like that, they always glide. But sometimes when you have a string section, they won't all glide, because normally in an orchestra, they won't always all glide. So you have to check them out before you actually do it. Check them out. And if you don't like the sound because it's not doing the glide that you just spent a whole long time learning how to do, then you got to find a sound that does. Trombones, they glide in real life, so they will glide on the instrument.
okay. And the sax too. Well,
Saxes, absolutely. Clarinets are excellent for gliding. Guitars will glide. Guitars will glide because you can bend the strings.
so
I'm
is that the only place you did a glide on these 2 pages?
Yep, just at the bottom of those 2 pages. Yep, and that was it.
Could you leave out one of the glides if you
Sure.
wanted, or,
Absolutely.
you know, okay. All right. Thank you.
Play what sounds good to you. If you only want to do the one that glides up, that's fine. It's your arrangement.
All right.
It just gives you something. I'm just trying to challenge you guys. I'm trying to get you to think
Yeah,
about
sure. It's good.
what your organ can do and what kind of instruments you are using. Okay? Because remember, not all instruments glide, so you have to watch that. A Hawaiian guitar is an excellent example of an instrument that will glide.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next background. What did I choose?
You said swing and sway.
Well, I'm not going to do swing and sway this time. I
Right.
am going to do tap soft shoe, which is also under Foxtrot for most of you. And tap soft shoe. Why would I choose that one? This comes from Swing Time, which is Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. What do? They dance.
They
So
dance.
this is one of the ones that I also will go to, my go-to backgrounds, remember that, when I have like cheek to cheek is a perfect one for tap soft shoe, because if you think of the dancers, this kind of background enhances the song, but it's going to be a different technique of playing, because now you don't want to make your fingers go too smoothly. You want to make your fingers dance on the keys and bounce on the keys. Now you got to remember, it depends on the sound that you're using. So think about the sounds that you're using for playing your melodies. So if we're doing piano and strings, you're going to have to do a little bit more bouncing and pretend like you're dancing with Fred Astaire, pretend like you're Ginger. Guys, you can pretend like you are Fred, and just bounce around the keys with your fingers. I'm still at 116, and we're going to do tap soft shoe. Second ending. Okay.
That was good.
I played
was
a lot
nice.
more
That was nice, Dawn.
staccato. Yes, I played the first page and the ending much more staccato, and instead of gliding on my doos, I played them very staccato. Doom, 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 So a completely different technique. And it all depends on what instrument are you choosing for your melody sounds. That makes a huge difference. Now, I did smooth it out when you got to the bridge. And if you can just imagine Fred sweeping Ginger across the floor in a really smooth way, that's how I played that whole middle section. But I had a lot more half notes and some floating quarter notes that just kind of made it flow. Then when I went back to the beginning, I stuck with more staccato.
But is the bridge on the second page, Dawn?
The second page is, with each word your tenderness grows, tearing my fear apart, and that laugh that wrinkles your nose touches my foolish heart. That's the bridge. That's the part that doesn't match anything else. And if you notice, you only play that one time. This page only gets played one time in the song. The
So you
verse
would
part over
change-
here gets played 3 times.
Okay.
So I changed, it was just technique. It's just one I played smooth. I stayed on the same sound, but the strings made it flow, and the piano in the strings made it bouncy when I decided to bounce on the first page. So 2 completely different backgrounds that gave 2 completely different techniques of how to play the song. And it's just how do you feel it? How are you feeling it? Are you dancing on it? And it really makes a difference. What instrument am I using? What instrument am I using? Sometimes we think that, oh, we're on an organ, all these instruments are right here for us, and we just play them all the same. But that's not true, because you want to think like the instrument that you are playing. Think like if we chose, I'm going to go to big band number 1, which is a trombone, category big band number 1, and put it on trombone. And I'm going to play the song as if I was using an organ sound. Okay, so I want you to listen and tell me what I'm doing wrong. All right, let's go back to this. I just messed everything up. All right. Okay. What did I do wrong?
Nothing.
Your wind instruments are, those players are turning blue.
Yeah, my trombone player probably died. Like Marco used to say, don't kill the horn player. And if you don't give your horn player a chance to breathe, that's exactly what you're going to do. So all I did was play the notes that were here, exactly where they were, and I didn't give him a chance to breathe until that rest at the bottom of the page. But you got to give your saxophones, your clarinets, your trombone players, your trumpet players, you need to give them a chance to breathe. Now, I know there's going to be somebody like Paul Miller that's going to say, but some of us know how to do circular breathing. And if you know how to do circular breathing, you don't have to take a breath. Most of us don't have that skill. So when you use a horn, think like you're the horn player. Okay, now the second thing I didn't do is I didn't play my trombone the way a trombone would be played. I played it the way an organist would play it, just played the notes. I did not do any sliding, which is what a trombone player would slide up to some of these notes, wouldn't he? So if you think like a trombone player, how would he play this? All right, and you have to give him time to take a breath. How do you know where to give your trombone player time to take a breath? Sing the song. If you would take a breath as a singer, that's the place to let your trombone player breathe. Same thing, it's your phrasing. Someday when I'm awfully low, that's where you want to take your breath. So that would be the place where you'd at least want to lift your finger a little bit and give that horn player a chance to breathe. So it sounds like you're giving him a chance to breathe. Okay, so if I were playing this again, I'm going to put in some glides. Okay, now I might not have put the glides in the right place, and it doesn't matter because the glides are where you feel like putting the glides in. But the point is, think like the instrument that you're playing. If you're playing a flute, one of these guys, if you're playing a flute, you have to think about breath control there too, because that actually takes more air than a tuba player, believe it or not. You might want to put in some little trills, because that's what flute players and clarinet players do. They put in little trills, those little things, so it sounds more real. So that's basically what I want you to do on all your songs. Think about what type of a player you have, what kind of a sound, and then adapt your fingers to, or adapt, excuse me, let's use the right word, adapt your fingers to how is that song being played. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
Hey, Dawn.
Yes.
This in Marco's class today, he took it one step farther.
Really?
It
Okay.
shows how to pan. In other words, put the violins on the left,
Mm-hmm.
the left speakers, and
Wow.
the horns on the right.
Wow.
So,
Oh my.
like you set up your organ just like
You-
where the true instrument is located in the
In the
organ.
orchestra. Wow. Leave it to Marco. I am not worthy. No, he's pretty amazing, and that's why he does all the arranging and stuff that he does, because he is that good. But like he says, you will never be able to be like me, but you can sound like me. So so this will be one step closer to sounding like what Marco would sound like, is just don't kill your horn player. Don't play him straight through without letting him take a breath. And it's not that hard to do. You just have to think, what am I playing? I'm playing a trombone. Oh, okay. I got to take a breath someplace. And all you got to do is just give him a chance to take a breath. Lift your finger before you go to the next note. Give it a little bit of air in between. It's called phrasing. Phrasing. And do it exactly the way you would sing it. Okay, those of you who would like to play along with me, do we have time? We have 5 minutes. I'm going to play it one more time. I'm going to slow it down. I think I'm going to go back to my swing and sway, but we're going to slow it down to 90. So if you want to play along, try a few new chords, go ahead. If you want to just play one hand, that would be fine. All right, I'm going to count to 4, and then we'll go. If you're not close to your instrument, then you won't be able to do this. But if you are, go ahead and play along. 1, 2, 3, 4. Glissando. First ending. Back to the top. Second ending. Coda. Okay. Okay, very nice. Now, I know we're running this is like one of the longer classes I've done, but we had some great questions. Robert at 3 o'clock, which is 2 minutes from now, is going to be demonstrating and showcasing a symphony. So if any of you would like to see what a symphony is, email me like right now, and I will send you the link. And some of you already have the link, and I will be meeting you on Robert's Zoom in 2 minutes. All right, you guys are the awesomest. Next week, We Kiss in a Shadow from the King and I. Excellent, excellent. Okay, very good. And I will see some of you in a couple minutes on Robert's Zoom, and the rest of you I will hopefully see tomorrow or next week, Monday, doesn't matter. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Dawn.
Bye, Dawn.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Bye.
Bye.